So with the most recent update, I've noticed that there has been a surge in comments expressing feelings that you see in the title, that the game is becoming more pay to win. Now, of course, in any free-to-play game that has premium purchase options, be it vehicles, weapons, or whatever, there's always going to be, those comments said about said game. And most recently, if you've been living under a rock, there's an event going on in-game that's, of course, leading to more of these comments being made here recently with World of Warships. So, if you don't know, currently in-game right now, the Pan-American Battleship Early Access event is live. And if you plop down a whopping 20,000 doubloons on top of completing a sequential bundle thread, you can acquire the new Tier 10 tech line Pan American Battleship Libertad early, 2 patches before anyone else gets their paws on her. Now, this is something that Wargaming has done for years now, these early access events. If you're willing to cough up the money, you can get access to the ships early. However, the ships will be, free to grind in 2 patches anyway, so if you don't want to spend money, which is what I obviously encourage you to do, you wait 10 weeks and you can grind the ships out completely for free. And even in these early access events, you can get a couple of the tech line ships typically for free to try out early. Now, why does this have players shouting pay to win? Well, the Libertad is a little over-seasoned, shall we say. Really, the whole line is. You see, the line is a line of brawling battleships with a very, very heavy secondary armaments. Like, literally, the Libertad is just 2 Goliaths in a trench coat, right? Because it has 10 234mm guns as its primary secondary battery, with some 127s there for some additional fireworks, right? And it has the funny F button, where once you get shot at enough or hit your target enough times, you can pop it. Gives you a 20% buff to the reload time of the guns, of the secondary guns, a 30% buff to their damage, and you can get the secondaries out to I think it's 15.5, 15.1 kilometers with the Libertad at tier 10. So it is a little goofy, shall we say, and a little bit overtuned. And it's going to get nerfed, I'm sure of that, like many have stated beforehand. So obviously you can see how players are saying, well, look, if you paid 20,000 dubs for the Libertad, you get this ship early, and it's, absolutely a god right now in the game, because you just walk toward the enemy team, pop your funny F button, and your secondary guns just absolutely melt everything in your path. So, yeah, that is very true. The Libertad is very overtuned right now, and you might have noticed that plenty of players are saying, oh, well, this is totally going to get nerfed. And you might be wondering, well, why are they saying that? Well, one, it is a little bit overtuned, but Wargaming's done this before, releasing tech line ships in early access that are a little bit too hot to handle, shall we say, and they do get nerfed a few months after getting fully released. This has happened several times before, just off the top of my head. The ship you're watching in the background, Conqueror. Oh my god, you want to see a crazy ship? Go watch Conqueror when she first got released. She was just dumb, my guys, with a citadel that's underwater, with the same super heal, with a quicker cooldown time. Actually, I think the cooldown time on the super heal right now is 10 seconds longer than it used to be, because they've nerfed her several times since then, right? Yeah, that thing was busted. OG Kremlin. Oh my god. Kremlin, back when Kremlin first came out, that was a battleship, my guys, and now she can't hit anything outside of 10 kilometers, and they've nerfed her AP Alpha as well. Submarine Petro was pretty wild, not being able to shoot the ship because it sits so friggin' low in the water, right? And her guns used to be a hell of a lot more accurate, but they nerfed that too. They nerfed that before she even got into early access, actually. Venezia, oh boy, Clan Battles Season 9 Venezia, that, oh my god, that was a spicy meatball. 20k alpha strikes with her sap guns, my guys. That was a nutty ship back in the day. Now, you might also notice, too, that all those ships are fairly old, because, you see, when you release something that powerful, and you put it into an early access event, doesn't really look that great when you nerf it, afterwards. So, after that string of ships, it hasn't really happened since then that a ship's been unbelievably powerful in early access, and everyone drops where they can on it in order to get it, and then the ship comes out and gets nerfed hard afterwards. Like the closest things I could think of would be like Saint Vincent was a little overtuned in early access. I wouldn't say to the point of, again, like OG Conqueror and OG Kremlin and OG Petropavlovsk, but she was a little bit much. But again, she has since been nerfed in a tiny way. And what? I guess maybe the Schlieffen, but the Schlieffen hasn't been nerfed. It's kind of just been left where it's at because it's really powerful at what it does, but it does have some big trade-offs for that. So again, recently I'm kind of drawing a blank, like the Spanish cruisers, they were fine. The Pan American cruisers, they were fine. The French cruisers were good, but again, not really that powerful. I mean, Marseille is really good, but it's super easy to get absolutely slaughtered in that thing if you goof up. I guess you could say the Soviet aircraft carriers, the Nakamal's been nerfed several times since release, but again, they were never that level of just gods like the Conqueror, the Kremlin, the Petra, the Venezia was, because wargaming, they obviously don't want to have to keep nerfing these things super hard afterwards. And if you are taking part in an early access event too, there is some understanding there that, hey, these ships are still in testing technically, so they can and may get nerfed afterwards. So it hasn't really happened in a while. It is surprising to me that is a secondary ship of all ships that it's happening with right now. So yeah, I mean, like, I can see why players feel that way, certainly so right now, but again, it's gonna get nerfed, fellas. Now you might be saying, well, of course, that's just Techline ships, right? And these are Techline ships. These are free ships at the end of the day, but they do the same with premium ships. You have a bit of a better argument here, because these ships are ships that you do have to pay for, or, give some type of resource up that you have to grind, your life away in the game to get. But then the same question arises. When was the last really, really crazy premium ship? Lenin? I guess you could say Wisconsin, maybe. Slava was kind of nutty. But yeah, I'll give you Lenin for sure. Granted, that ship is removed and you can't pick her up anymore for that reason. Wisconsin, Wisconsin was really strong, but again, just like with the Schlieffen, if you misplay Wisconsin, you are a Tier 9 battleship at Tier 10. You have Tier 9 battleship armor, Tier 9 battleship HP, and Slava got neutered before she was even released, so there's that. Now, there are certainly some crazy resource ships that have certainly been pulled for good reason, like the Thunderer and the Georgia. Thunderer was my, nemesis there for quite some time with how nutty she used to be before they pulled her and then nerfed her after pulling her, which was absolutely, something that should not have happened, in my humble opinion. Georgia, yeah. Georgia's nuts, and still is nuts if you can manage to acquire one nowadays. Napoli's still out there, but still really, really strong. But again, with these ships, these are all free ships. Thunderer, Georgia, Napoli, those are all coal ships that you could just play the game and get. Anyone can get those ships. They're not locked behind a paywall. And again, like with the way overtuned Techline ships, Wargaming's gotten better at it over time. I'm not saying they released these ships in perfect conditions, but again, look at the past, handful of tech lines and premiums that have been released. They've really not really been hit with a nerf hammer too hard after they get released. They're doing these small incremental changes rather than these big sweeping nerfs. Like, just go look at Kremlin's changelog after she got released. Lots of big nerfs really quickly there with the Kremlin. And at the bottom, at the end of the day, bottom line thing too, is that even if you get one of these crazy ships, it still doesn't make you good in these ships. Like, I could put somebody that's never played World of Warships into Libertad right now, and I could give him a very brief explanation on how to play the game. I could show him the basics, but guess what? If he hasn't played the game, and he doesn't have any experience in the game, he's not going to do well. He's probably going to get sunk really quickly because he doesn't know what he's doing. And you could even say this for classes in the game. If you're a battleship main and you go buy a Stalingrad and you try to play it like, a battleship, full-on battleship, you're going to have a very bad day because the Stalingrad doesn't have the thick side armor of most battleships, even when you're talking about like the Gremlin, right? You might know you need to angle your sides a little bit, but you don't know quite how much. Or if I go put them in whatever the best meta DD is, Ragnar, Smallin, whatever, they don't know how to play that. You're going to get murdered. Or again, you're going to like aircraft carriers or submarines. U4501, very scary when played by a competent 4501 captain. If I shove a cruiser main into it, they're not going to do that well. So in terms of like pay to win, like you can just buy a ship and be a god at the game. Not really how the game works. There's, again, so much that you have to learn, even just jumping from one class to another class, let alone, just buying a ship outright with no experience. I mean, look at super ships. How many players do you see in super ships that they've paid their way there, with all their credits and stuff, and they have these ships that, by design are actually OP, but how many times do you see like Hanovers getting slaughtered in the first 5 minutes because I think they can just sell in there because they're in a big meaty Hanover with secondaries that can get up to 14 kilometers and stuff. Same like the Satsumas that sell broadside all day and they don't know about the Yammy cheeks, right? And you see them get absolutely deleted. Jacksonville's really crazy now, but if someone's just selling broadside in Jacksonville all day, they're going to get deleted in one salvo, So the game isn't really pay to win in that aspect. Now, are there pay to win elements in the game? There's a couple. Well, there used to be one. Oh, another thing too about these ships as well, these premium ships. A lot of times clips will start circulating around the Warships sphere that are kind of out of context. It don't really give you the whole story. If you remember back to like the Golden Loop when it was in testing, was it like 2 of them dropped all 3 sets of their bombs on an Alaska, and the Alaska got vaporized. It's like, oh my god, that's crazy. They just nuked the Alaskan, tier 9 American cruiser that's very tough and very resilient and is, a really, really good cruiser in game. But then you go look at the clip and you start looking what's going on. Alaska's staying perfectly still in front of the Golden Loose. He knows they're there. He knows they have the airstrike, and he doesn't move. And he just eats, all those bombs at once. Just like, well, yeah, no, he's going to perish if he just sits still and doesn't even try to maneuver out of the bombs. And if you've gone up against a Golden Loop now, you know that if you really have any type of, momentum, it's not really hard to avoid most of the Golden Loop's bombs at all. And obviously, if they're in game and they're on your flank, you don't really want to sit still. So, yeah. And even myself, this happened to me. If you've seen this Colossus clip before,
this Seattle is not paying attention at all. Let's see what happens here, ladies and gents. Oh my god!
That was from my live stream, and it got circulated on Reddit. Flamu did a reaction to it as well. I suck at playing carriers, and yet I deleted a couple of cruisers with 1 salvo of rockets from the Colossus, because yeah, their AP rockets are that crazy, but guess what? If you go watch my live stream, in like 2 of the 3 cases, the ships were AFK. They sat there, they didn't maneuver, and they ate a full salvo of Colossus rockets. If you do that with any other carrier that has AP rockets and you find a cruiser that's completely broadside, light cruisers, at that too, right? It's going to wreck them anyway, right? It's going to take off a giant part of their HP bar because you're not maneuvering. You're going to eat the full damage of the AP rockets. So, again, clips like that get circulated around the community. It's out of context, and people think, oh my god, this ship's crazy. The game's pay to win. So that does happen too. Even with like the Petropavlovsk, there's those clips going around of it, nuking cruisers and even, in some cases battleships at like 17 to 18 kilometers. But then guess what? Wargaming nerfed the guns while the ship was still in testing, but it carried that reputation with it going forward. But anyway, back to the actual pay-to-win elements of the game. There used to be premium consumables, if you guys remember, back in the day. You used to have to pay for premium consumables with faster cooldown times. You would get an additional charge of the consumable as well, but then Wargaming removed it. And now all consumables in the game, by default, are premium consumables. They're the old premium consumables. They removed it. Very strange for, a company that some players like to, painted in a way as, super money hungry, which, I mean, like, yeah, it's a free-to-play game. They got to make money somehow. But if they're really pushing the pay-to-win stuff, why would they remove premium consumables? Now, the other element, which is fairly pay-to-win, is signal flags. Or I should say, are signal flags. Signal flags, yeah, they straight up give you an advantage in-game over players that aren't running them. However, they are purchased by, in-game currency with credits. You can also exchange coal for them. You can also get a container that gives them to you for free by doing your, three daily missions, your XP containers, your 3 daily XP containers. You can get them in there for free as well. They do give them away in events fairly regularly, but obviously not as much as they used to. You used to not have to worry about buying signal flags at all back in the day. Like, you just had so many of them because you get an achievement, you get 20 of them. Whatever event was going on, they would shower you in them and all that jazz. But today, they've definitely cracked back on that. And yeah, definitely, that is an element of, like, pay to win, but again, you can exchange in-game credits for them. A full set of flags will run you about 300,000 credits, so obviously it's a pretty steep price. But as far as like random battles go, you don't really need to run full signal flags in every match. I mean, if you want to, sure, go ahead. The advantages are there, but in most cases, they're fairly slight. And like I've said before in videos, really the only ones you really need to worry about running is the hill flag if your ship has a hill, and like the detonation flag, just so you don't, have a 2-second match. You eat one unlucky shell, then you go back to port. Other than that, you really don't have to worry about running the rest of the random battles. Now, obviously, like ranked and something else, ranked is something else. Like ranked and clan battles, that's a different story. And that's really what you should be hoarding them for in the first place. But also, if you look at what Lesta did with the signal flags, they took it to an actual like mega pay-to-win level. With their version of the game, their client, right? Where now you have like 4 separate ranks of signal flags. Same with like the economic boost, where you have the red tier, which is just an absurd boost to your ship's performance. Then you have the gray tier, which is such a a minimal boost to your performance, you might as well not run it. That's actually like mega pay to win. So that's definitely an element of pay to win in this game, but it's a very slight element, and one that, if you really look at like what players say in the comments on Discord, Reddit, and elsewhere, a lot of them just saying they don't really bother running them in random battles anyway because it's kind of a waste of credits. Save them for ranked and such, and you really won't have any problem having enough of them in there. So yeah, so like overall, is the game pay to win? I mean, like, it's far, if you want to say it is, which I can totally see how you could say that it is, it's very, very minimal compared to some other free-to-play games. Like, in the vast free-to-play sphere, there are far, far worse games than World of Warships when it comes to pay-to-win. Like, just look up World of Tanks for an example. You look at World of Tanks, you look at World of Warships, and that's a stark difference, if I do say so myself, with gold ammo and all the other stuff that they have going on there in World of Tanks. But I mean, like, I wouldn't say it is, because again, there's such a steep learning curve when you come to this game, and even going from different classes and such. And again, a lot of the most powerful ships in the game are coal ships, are free ships, are resource ships that you can get for free. So yeah, even at that point, again, look at like where the most powerful ships in the game are today. They do eventually get balanced out and such to where they're far less offensive than they used to be, So yeah, the game's far more pay to save time than anything. That's the main thing the company's trying to get out of you is, like premium time and, buying credits so you can convert XP and stuff. If you look at like some of the events that we've had in the past, like the Kitakami event, obviously, that's really what they're trying to get out of you rather than making a super mega pay to win game. But that is my 2 cents from playing this game for the past, 7-ish years. Again, very minor pay to win elements, far more pay to save time than anything, in my humble opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Again, I was just seeing all these comments showing up with the most recent patch. Just share your thoughts with me in the comments down below. I'm curious to see what you guys do think. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. If you did enjoy, make sure you drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and all of that good YouTube stuff. Hope you guys have a great Friday. We will be live streaming right here tonight on the channel from around 3:30 U.S. Central Time to around 6:30 U.S. Central Time, so make sure to come out for that. Again, hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and hope to catch you guys in the next one.